on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.
Howdy folks, Darren back with you at Cross Timbers Farm. Welcome to 8th Day Chronicles on this December morning. We're getting close to Christmas, excuse the smoke. We're back in our wooded area. Man, we got a lot of work to do down here. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning, unseasonably warm today. And that's relative for December. I'm not talking we're in the 80s or nothing like that, but we are in the high 40s. Approaching 50, and it's supposed to be a really nice day today. Seriously considered hooking my boat to the truck and going fishing this morning, but I have some obligations later this evening, and that would put me in a rush on the lake, and so I opted to just work in the wood for a while today. We got a really big tulip poplar tree down from the storm, and it presents some challenges, splitting that big wood into firewood, making big wood into little wood. Now, big wood here on our farm is relative to our area. We're not talking giant cedars of the Pacific Northwest or redwoods of Northern California or nothing like that. We're talking big poplars in the southeast. And this is the biggest one on our property. And when you look at this wood, it's intimidating, thinking, how in the world am I going to split that into firewood? So come along with us as we tackle some of this big wood and show you our technique. As you can see behind me, we have this big tulip poplar. This is big for our property. I've done a little bit of walking around in here, and we have about 2 big northern red oaks that are close to this big, maybe a fuzz bigger. I had originally said that this was the biggest tree on the property, and it is one of the 3 biggest ones. And as you can see, our saw is a Stihl MS290, and we have an 18-inch bar on it. Okay, you can see that our bar will go about halfway through. So when you're sawing a piece of wood this big, it presents a challenge when you're using a homeowner or farm ranch style saw. I'm not a professional arborist or a logger or a hand feller or nothing like that for a living. Have never done that. However, I have ran a chainsaw a lot on farm use and home use for firewood, home heat firewood, things like that, growing up for years and years. And even in my adult life, in the last several years, we've not. But when you're using a saw this size on a tree this big, you have to use your noggin and think about how you're cutting that one side and come up over the top and cut down some on the other side. Then you're going to probably switch sides and saw from 2 different sides of the log to make an effective cut. What we have here is this tree is still attached to the root ball that turned over in Hurricane Helene. We are wanting to take some of the weight off this stump so it will possibly pull back up and the root ball sit back down in the hole. I've already tried to pull it as is once with the tractor, and it would not budge it. The tractor just spin. Even putting more weight on the 3-point and everything like that, it still would just spin. Not enough traction, not enough power. So, and our tractor's a Kubota L3200, 32 horsepower. So it's a compact tractor. This would require a bigger tractor. maybe even something bigger, something on tracks. But we're going to try to cut some of the weight off this from the fulcrum so it's not got so much weight pulling it over. We're going to cut a big piece off this. We're going to cut it into a firewood length. There's enough of it to cut into a firewood length. So we're going to cut it and split this up into firewood. Splitting or busting wood this size with a splitting maul or a go devil presents a very unique challenge, and we're going to show you how we do that with wood this big. Piece of wood. Wow. A friend of mine the other day asked me if I had a log splitter, and I pointed at my splitting maul and done like that. And he laughed. Here's our log splitter. One of these days I may invest in a hydraulic log or wood splitter if my health and my age catches up with me. But for now I still do it the manual way. This is good exercise. This will keep you in shape, trust me. A block of wood this big presents a problem. For me, anyhow. I look at a block of wood this big, I can't even move that. I can't even really roll it. It was all I could do to get it flipped up on its cut side so I could do something with it. So what do? I can't move it. In order to move this, I'm going to have to split it into sections or bust it into sections. And a big piece of poplar or any kind of wood, the fibers of that wood are holding it together. And when you start trying to bust it down the middle into two halves, it's almost impossible with just a splitting maul or a go devil. Yes, you could take some wedges, some steel wedges, and start driving some wedges in it. And I've done that in the past, and I've got some wedges. I just don't like using them. Use the wedges and a sledge and drive them in and split this. I use my wedges for splitting fence post, locust fence post. I really don't much use them for splitting firewood. So what you have to do is start taking slices off of this, just like a pie. Start taking slices off from around it to start getting that weight down and getting the size of that down to a smaller diameter where it will then split in the middle. So let's get started. I'll take a few swings right in the middle and show you how this thing has no give, and I've not hit it any yet. When you're dealing with a piece of wood this big, trying to split it right down the middle is usually futile. Yeah, you could stand here for a couple hours and keep swinging on it and eventually weaken that section that you're continuously striking with the Go Devil. Or you can use your brain and start taking edges off of it to narrow that gap down. So let's get started. Okay, I'll show you how this wood reacts to being struck in the middle. This bounces off. As you can see, this is almost going to be futile. So what we're going to do is start taking edges off. We're going to start right through here. Did you hear the difference? There's not as much of this grain when you start hitting on edges to hold that wood together. There's one piece. At this point, we've took about a third off that big block of wood. A little more. And then we'll try to move the block a little bit so we can bust some off the other side. We're getting there. All right, let's see if we can move this now. It's down close to half. I'd say really close to half the size it was originally. I think I can at least flip it and move it over a little bit so we can bust a little off this side. It's so close to all this brush, I can't do much with it on that side where it's at. And there you have it. Piece of wood this big that I couldn't even move. I could just barely roll it enough to get it flipped over. Now is in pieces. It's all out of here. I got 4 little pieces that I can now manage and carry to get out of here to go to the regular splitting pile. As you can see now, all this poplar off that one great big block is now here in our pile where we can handle it easy and split it easy. Before I couldn't even, it was all the strength I could muster just to flip that block of wood up and over onto its side. And I was on a little bit of a slope too, and that helped. I could use the slope of the land to my advantage to get it flipped up to where I could split it or bust it. And now it's all up here. Goodness, the amount of wood that come out of that one piece. It's unreal. Every bit of this you see right through here is off that one piece of wood. That's unreal. We have a few pieces of red oak, a couple logs near the stumps that are almost that big or maybe a little bigger. We have 3 large trees of the largest trees. Really, all of our big trees fell in the storm. We have no bigger standing timber left. We have several mid-sized ones. I counted the growth rings on this tulip poplar that we just sawed a piece off of and busted. 78 rings, meaning that tree's 78 years old, which means that tree started growing in the 1940s. I hated to see it go down, but Hurricane Helene decided it needed to go. So we're not going to waste it. We're going to be the best stewards of our land we can and use it for firewood. Poplar makes really good campfire wood, and I've discussed that before. It burns hot and fast, makes a good bed of coals. It's not the best for heating your home, but it is really good for campfire wood. The only thing I don't like about it for campfire wood is it pops. You hear it burning and all of a sudden you hear pop and pieces of coal will go flying. When you're burning campfire wood that's poplar, be aware of leaves all around your campfire position, not to catch anything on fire out of the fire ring. There's something about a campfire that I just love. This was the first place after the storm, other than our water, clearing out around our water sources. But after that, the first place we started clearing out was here, around our campsite and campfire. So while we're down here working, we have a place to come and build a fire, because it is midwinter, to be warm, heat some coffee. When it's really, really cold, you stop to eat lunch or take a break, you got a warm fire to sit by and reheat your coffee. And a campfire is just mystical. There's something about a campfire that I absolutely love being around, and I've been that way ever since I was a little boy. I'm not a pyromaniac. It's not the fire in and of itself, it's the setting. Out in the woods with a small campfire going, just enjoying nature, enjoying what the good Lord gave us to enjoy. It's been a nice day here on the farm. We've got quite a bit done. A lot of splitting wood that wasn't filmed, and we got a good supply of camping wood really going under our sheds. We're getting some nice ricks of wood, and really looking forward to next spring, late spring and summer for the camping season. So thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it, and I hope you found something here helpful, or at least maybe entertaining. If firewood and things of that nature, doing things the old way with a splitting maul, and no wood processing machines here. The only wood processing machine we have is an axe, a Go Devil, a chainsaw, and muscle power. But it's something we enjoy doing. Thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it. I pray God blesses you and your family. I hope you all have a fantastic day.